Now on BBC Two, as her third album is released, Lady Gaga talks to Miranda Sawyer about art, pop and art pop. The Culture Show contains some strong language.
Hello and welcome to a somewhat non-standard version of The Culture Show, in which we meet someone we thought we already knew as one of several different people, and discover that she, Lady Gaga, is someone else entirely.
There was really a void of vanity, and as the blood rushed out of my body, how do I explain it?
Friday, October the 25th, a little more than 2 weeks before the release of Lady Gaga's third album, Art Pop. Gaga's been out of the public eye for getting on for 2 years, forced to cancel the last part of her previous tour because she quite simply danced too much and injured her hip. She's about to arrive in London, and when she's in London, she always stays here, the Langham Hotel, no more than a hop, skip and newly revitalised jump from BBC Broadcasting House. Her fans are waiting.
You know, I really am thankful that I am a fan now and that I'm able to experience everything that she's doing in real time, because I know that in years to come, people are going to look back and they're going to realise how significant and how important she was.
The Little Monsters, they're called, and Gaga is Mother Monster. And it's a selfie with Mother Monster that they're really waiting for.
I have so many friends here now, like Lauren and Hannah and Danny, and all through her.
I skip uni for Gaga, I skip school for Gaga, I skip life for Gaga.
To the fans, she's not just a star, she's a fellow sufferer. They don't simply admire her, they identify with her. She was bullied at school, and so were they.
Gaga she's taken every single underdog who was insecure, who used to walk away from all the kids at school, used to not like talk to anyone, and she has put them in the limelight and made them be proud of themselves. She's made the weirdos at the party look cool.
She's become a defender of the bullied and oppressed. None of that has changed. And the music hasn't really either. The first track from the new album is Applause, a trademark Gaga pop club anthem. Same small woman, same massive voice. I like it. It's a great song.
She'll be here very soon. Very, very soon. Within the next hour, hopefully. If not sooner.
Gaga finally arrives at the Langham after 9 o'clock that night. And she arrives the way she always does. Strangely.
Here we go, here we go.
Here we go.
Gaga, you're amazing! We love you so much!
Oh my god!
Oh my!
The paparazzi, of course, go into snap happy overdrive. Their flashes wreak havoc on our cameras. But still, there she is. She's tiny, white face, black contacts, bare feet. The dress is translucent and there's nothing underneath. She doesn't seem to speak. And when she does, it's bizarre.
Shall we hail to the goddess, to Venus?
Venus!
Put your arms up.
Gaga!
And she keeps it up all the way into the hotel lobby.
This is what I hate. She is a human being. Let her have her space.
The Paps went in first and we just decided to go in with them. But she did that whole thing straight to the lift. And she kept, like, that's the thing I love about her the most, is she keeps it in our performance. And she doesn't stop until she's out of sight. Even if she looks ridiculous, she carries on doing it. And I think it just looks amazing. It's like my favourite thing about her, because she's so theatrical.
So, she's in the hotel. We've been promised an interview. The only question is, when? On Friday we thought we might get an interview. Saturday it was a maybe. Sunday, no, but it's definitely going to happen on Monday. And then we were definitely happening today, but then that got cancelled yesterday. And then it was on again, and now it's been cancelled again. So what are we doing? We're waiting for Gaga. But it's not just me. Because we thought of Gaga as the world's most alternative mainstream artist, we thought we would dress the set. It would look amazing. It wouldn't just be me interviewing Gaga, it would be a comment on the way that she talks to the fans. And so we brought some other people along. Do you want to meet them? Here they are. They're waiting for Gaga too. The new album is called Art Pop. Not pop art, like Andy Warhol and his soup cans. It's the other way around. Art pop. As the release date approaches, Gaga uses her Twitter account to keep more than 40 million followers, including me, in the loop. Snippets of music and updates on the art ingredients she's been throwing into the pot, the artists she's been working with. There's Marina Abramovich, a New York-based performance artist, creator of the Abramovich method, a blend of performance and meditation. You can watch this on YouTube, Gaga practicing said method. Then there's Robert Wilson, high priest, maybe even the Pope of American experimental theatre. Brows can't really get any loftier. And there's Jeff Koons, the most commercially successful artist in America, not highbrow, possibly best known for his sculpture of Michael Jackson and his chimp Bubbles. Koons has made a sculpture of Gaga. It's a centrepiece for the album cover. And if you listen carefully to applause, Jeff gets a bit of product placement. It is odd. I know more about the artist she's been working with than I do about the album. Still, whilst I'm waiting, the only thing I can really do is practice.
So now I'm going to ask you about the difficult third album. Here we go. So you've got 2 albums so far. You've done The Fame and you've done Born This Way. Now we have Art Pop. It's a different direction for you. You're trying to bring art into the album in the way that Warhol brought pop into art. You want to bring art into pop. I wonder how successful you think you've been with that. Is the art just the sprinkling on the top, like the hundreds and thousands on top of a cake, or is it actually within the cake, like the egg within the cake?
Would you like to unpick that? Or not? So it took until Friday the 1st of November for us to finally secure our interview. We were offered this attractive function room at the Langham to do it in, so it had to be disguised completely. We draped it. We draped the mannequins. I thought about draping myself. Setup began at 7 a.m. and Gaga arrived at around 11. She hadn't had any sleep because she'd been working with Robert Wilson on a series of installations, recreations of masterpieces in which Gaga replaces a central figure, like the death of Marat or the head of John the Baptist. The finished works are due to be shown in the Louvre sometime next year. Can you imagine any other mainstream pop artist doing something like that? Answers on a tweet, please. Gaga.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
You had an enforced absence, didn't you, between the last album and this one, due to illness. How were you as a patient, and how is it to be back?
Well, I guess I was a good patient in some ways because I was so excited to rejuvenate my body. It was exciting in a way. You feel like an infant.
Yeah.
But in another way, I felt dead all the time because I couldn't be on stage. So I guess I just really took to enjoying and appreciating the parts of what I do that are life as art all the time as a way to make it through that sort of torture I was feeling. I think it was good for me because this stage is, it's a place that I started to rely on, I think, very much, and the fans and that interconnection. And when it went away, I had to find a more spiritual connection with music and art, and I'm sort of on that journey path now.
So, press pause. The interview's been going for a couple of minutes now, and I noticed something. It's kind of impossible not to. Sometimes before questions, Gaga just shuts her eyes for a couple of minutes. I wonder if she's falling asleep because she's tired. I wonder if I'm boring her. I noticed that before you speak to me, you drop your eyes and centre yourself. Is that something that you learnt off Marina Abramovich?
Yeah, I did learn a lot of that from Marina and from Bob Wilson. I've been working with him for longer than 48 hours, but 48 hours
just previous to now,
days, yes.
Yeah. And what were you doing?
We were doing a series of portraits together. This is his work, so I was really just his clay to mold into these pieces that he was essentially recreating, re-inspiring into these beautiful, moving pieces. So I like to just make sure that I give you my full attention, and there's a lot of noise around me, and I've learned working with Marina. Did you hear the creaking door?
Yeah. Who's coming in? Who's coming out?
It's like a ghost.
Yep.
I've learned, though, from Marina that it is good to be aware of these sounds. So I like that when I'm working that I'm aware of things going on around me, because otherwise I can't react to real life. But I like to make sure that I'm breathing properly and centering myself to get through these... see, I did it wrong there. To get through these long durational works. I don't necessarily consider myself to be a performance artist really just yet.
Just yet? Just yet? She did Graham Norton the other week and he got this normal pop star.
And at the end, look at you, like just
I'm
staring
sorry, look
at
out for the hat.
I've realised I'm in the danger zone.
Please be careful. You're just going to see his eye just fly right now.
And what are you doing? What are you doing for us at the end of this? What are you doing for us at the end of this?
Oh well, let's just try talking about pop and sex. If you think about how you present yourself, say, on stage, if you think about a lot of pop artists, particularly female artists, they're presented in a straightforwardly sexual way very often. They have to be really good looking, they have to be presented as though the first thing you're going to react to is, do you fancy them?
Sure.
Do you think they're lovely? And you don't do that. I mean, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. How do you regard your body then within that context?
Okay. Well, I would say that in pop music, in that particular sphere, that there's a sort of one-dimensional quality to sexuality. So I think that the difference between what I do and that, if I can maybe start there, is that there's an intention always behind the sexuality, if the sexuality is there. But most of the time, I don't particularly find myself to be very sexy, actually. And then in the beginning of my career, I think that some of this exploration of covering myself up and transforming into other icons and other states of life force was a sense of sexual freedom for me, because I felt quite numb by my experiences and I wanted to escape things.
You use sex on this album in quite an interesting way. There's lots of different aspects to it, but often it's used as a way into love, it seems. The sex is going to hopefully lead on to something that will touch you a little more. Would you say that's right?
Yes, I would say that that's right, but I actually don't create with the intention of the finale.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. I don't always know exactly what's going to come out of it. So it's really beautiful for me to hear your reading of my experience with sex and love at this time, because my earlier experiences with sex were quite perverted and scary, terrifying, fear. I don't know, it sort of reminds me of these things we're sitting around.
Yeah, they're quite spooky, aren't they?
It was a little bit sort of terrifying for me. So, But now I have really great sex.
Well, she's good. I'm glad to hear it.
But, it's just sort of a natural change. I guess we're dealing with two different conversations in a way. When I'm working with Bob, for example, I'm his vehicle for an expression of him having a conversation with the example we did, the head of Jean-Baptiste Solari, 1507.
So, I find myself in a weird position, talking to a million-selling pop star with a new album coming out, who would rather discuss her collaboration with an experimental theatre director.
It's really more of a seance, and hopefully Jean-Baptiste will come to me and say, it's okay. You're allowed.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, we did the death of Marat, Jean-Jacques David. And this piece, it was the same. It was like, I have sort of experience where I have to really breathe through and have a tremendous honor and understanding of the artist that created the work. So then my own work, this is my curation of my own life. So it's completely separate from what I'm doing with Bob and with Marina. But with Art Pop, I wanted to put art in the front to show that being a student is okay. I feel that the education of your teachers and the knowledge of what you've learned, every dancer that you've danced with, every paintbrush that you've touched, every book that you've read, every music bit that you've heard, if you channel that entire history into the thing that you're creating, there's an intention in the work that runs to the center of the earth.
That's quite interesting because what people might say or worry about your work is that what you're doing, you have so many artistic references within there. Okay, pause again. One of the good things about Applause is its video, which contains a lot of cultural references. So many, in fact, that websites have started counting them. Here's one here. It says it's got 48 cultural references. We see Fritz Lang in there, we see Botticelli, we see Picasso, Warhol, of course, Koons. Anyway, carry on. It can perhaps seem like you're just, you're walking through a shop and you're going, I'll have you, I'll have you, I'll have you, I'll have you, I'll have you.
Like wearing it like a hat.
Yes, exactly. It's just putting it on and taking it off. So to put it within an album, to actually make sure it's embedded, that's quite a hard thing to do, given that you have so many references in your work, rather than it just, you don't want to feel like you're kind of Michael Jackson going through a home furnishing shop saying, I'll have one of these and one of these. You need to make sure that it's in the work, don't you?
Well, you do and you don't, because then I think we're getting back again to this idea of defining art into genres and sticking it in particular places, and I want to really free myself of all of that. It's exhausting for every artist to feel the projection of the world onto you of what you should be. I don't know what I am. I don't even know if it's any good. And I don't know that that matters. What matters is that it is. And that it's there for you to feel and to be and to experience. It's a life force on its own. And I'm still very young, in the duration of my work. And if you look at the early work of many artists over a sphere of many mediums, you can see them channeling and imitating and bringing along the artists that they have admired and learned from, their teachers. And then later on in their careers, that's when the real sort of amazing work starts to happen. So I don't know that even if anything I've done is very good, but that's not really the point. I'm not really the point. If that makes any sense.
It does make sense. So what you're saying essentially is you're on a journey to try and discover the art that you can make, and you don't know if you've made it yet. It may well happen in the future.
Sure, and it's really just about the potential. What I'm saying is it's worth it to be a student. To not be a student is to suggest that I'm to create in a vacuum, with no knowledge, with nothing, like just floating in space, with no gravity, no air, no oxygen, no nothing. And perhaps that's something that, I'll learn how to do.
Yeah, it's quite hard.
I don't know that anyone does. I've yet to meet any great artist that I'm very lucky now to work with Jeff Koons, Marina Abramovich, Bob Wilson. I've yet to have any moments with them when we're not looking at artwork or reading books or talking about things that have happened before. So I guess really you just have to trust in your teachers that they will guide you.
And how did you pick those three teachers? Because to me, they seem really different. Jeff Koons seems very different from Marina, very different to to Robert Wilson, they seem like they come from entirely different. I mean, they're all artists, but they come from entirely different spheres and have a different approach.
Well, I think they're sort of like they're my holy trinity, in a way. You know, you have theater, you have this discipline, this meditative performance discipline, and then you have a commercial art that's viable as fine art. And these are all the sorts of things that I'm very interested in. So it's the combination of what they represent for me and how it's guided me, and in my views of where we are now in terms of pop art and how it's traveled into art pop, like an inferno. So without disrespecting you, Warhol, I'm just trying to explain it to, young kids. But the soup can art, putting the soup can in the museum or in the gallery, right? What we're doing now is we're taking that soup can art and we're putting it back on the soup can. And it's already happened, actually. It's not even my idea. When you drink Perrier, I think there's some in here somewhere, it says Andy Warhol on the Perrier. So the soup can art's already on the soup can. And really all I'm saying is that I've been doing this from the beginning of my career, and I've just sort of discovered its meaning now. And so in the album, I found artists that I feel very, very connected to, their vibrations in their work. Like, we speak a language that I understand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And how does such experiences feed into your kind of pop performances? Because pop is so quick, it's so grabby.
It is. It's like a cum shot, It's like so... It is quite masturbatorial, some of it. It just happens so quickly. But a lot of theater is this way as well. It's like, it's entertainment. I mean, when you watch Bob's work as well with the lighting, the lighting is overwhelming how beautiful it is that you can't take your eye off what you're seeing. He paints you. So I guess what I'm saying is I think that a lot of people, like, for example, you're seeing me this way for the first time, but there's a lot of people that are in my life that have known me in this way for some time and seen me grow into this. And I've gone through stages of being centered and then being addicted to drugs and alcohol, having a difficulty handling the chaos in my mind, and then returning back to the center. But actually, when I go on stage, you can't imagine the energy of all of those fans.
When you're talking about your reaction to your fans, we've been talking to some of the fans that have been making his video diaries, and they're obviously, they love you. I'm interested in your relationship with the fans, because every artist has a lot of fans and, they have a certain relationship. Your relationship seems to be particularly intense.
It is.
What do you get from them? I mean, not just when you're performing, but when you see them outside the hotel, when they talk to you?
Well, I choose to receive their love. And because of that, it's become very intimate over the years. I think that, maybe in your suggestion that my relationship with my fans is different than some other pop artists, I think some of it is because there is a separation between them and the work for some people. That what I'm doing here and what is happening here are two different things. But because I've studied even Stanislavski since I was 11 years old, I have a sense of... I have a sense. So because of that, I'm aware of their energy all the time, and I receive it. So I need it for my work. I can't survive as what I've become without them, because they've injected this love into me that carries through every single moment of my life. And for me to separate and compartmentalize my work from them is dishonest. And that's what I'm learning working with Jeff and working with Marina, working with Bob. Working with Jeff is very intense because you see his pure joy in creating like a child. I mean, he loves it so much. And this is what I am so inspired by, because then you make it accessible for everyone to know that if you love something and then you apply the discipline and then the eye for the theatricality of it, whatever it may be, and then the integrity of the message for me, which is what Jeff is all about. It's then that something that really magical can occur. That's when the moment happens, that inexplainable moment.
I didn't mean to interrupt there, sorry. When you leave the...
Didn't mean to talk for so long.
These things happen, you know? You've got a lot to say. When you leave
I don't know, do I? I might sound total shit. I think your ratings will go down. I don't even know why you put me on this show.
When you go out of the hotel and you see the fans, you present yourself in various ways. And those are very different looks from perhaps what you would get on Art Pop or when you're performing on X Factor. It's like another world that you're creating.
Well, I think that it's important to be intelligent about your audience when you're communicating with them, because walking out of a hotel is not the same as performing on X Factor, and you have to consider all of the variables. It's not the same canvas. When you're leaving the hotel and it's just me and my fans and the paparazzi, you know, it's a different thing. And also, I always stay in this hotel now, so it's become a stage for me to leave. So I've become more acquainted with it, and they probably love it as well because, you know, they're able to see me truly in my element. There's a lot of things that you don't see. The corporate musical world is terrifying. I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
Because they try to tell me what to do the entire time.
Even now?
Yes, of course. I became a pop star because of my incessant drive and my love for creating. And then you're faced with this sort of choice. Am I going to go left or right? And am I going to allow these corporate projections to drive what I do? And it is tormenting for me. It's actually physically painful. So I had to just decide if I was going to allow that and allow people to project things onto me and do that. And I've decided the only people I'm going to allow to project things onto me are Marina Abramovich, Jeff Koons, and Bob Wilson, because I'd rather be their vehicle than allow myself to be controlled by corporations and things that really don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's poison, and it's the death of art, and it's killing young people because, you know, it's just like fast food, you know? I mean, it might taste good at first, but after you eat it for many years, you might get really fat or sick and die. So I just want to feed my fans good food.
Well, I'd like to say thank you very much. You are completely not what I thought you would be like at all. Can I shake your hand?
I'd give you a nice big Marina hug.
Okay, let's have a nice big Marina hug. Oh, you're tiny.
Yeah.
So, some unanswered questions. The main one being, is there any art in Art Pop? Well, art is referenced a couple of times in the lyrics, but to be honest, the music, there are at least 6 fantastic songs by the way, is what we expect from Gaga. Big, hooky pop, designed for the dance floor at 3 a.m, as much as it is for the charts. If you think about her as a kind of multimedia mistress though, perhaps you could say that the art is in her videos. It's certainly in her encounters with her fans as she moves from car to lobby. It's interesting also that a few days after we did this interview, her relationship with her original manager, Troy Carter, came to an end. So perhaps she really is moving away from the corporate music world into something more art. Maybe this will result in work that is rich and strange. As for Gaga herself, well, you know what? I liked her. She's already rich and strange. In fact, I was slightly blown away by her. I hope you were too.